community, all we need to do is to inject a little enthusiasm and energy in his life. It was a privilege to work with Aaron when he was in the legislature as the leader in the House of Representatives on health care policy. And there's a lot more work that needs to be done, and I know that Aaron, as a senator, will do spectacular work. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see what goes on in Washington, I am so troubled because I believe in the greatness of our country. I believe that, honestly believe that 310 million of us, all different, all with different interests, but pursuing our dreams unencumbered as little as possible by government, will create greatness. That's really our history. That's what made us great, was not relying on somebody else to be able to solve our problems, not getting in line and saying that collective action is the means by which we solve problems, but recognizing that the greatness of our country starts with the premise of the right to rise. The right to have an idea and to work hard and to dream about something better, to innovate, to disrupt, to be successful, even to fail. That if millions and millions of people equipped with a quality education, with good virtue in their hearts, that work hard and play by the rules, that'll create more prosperity than any government program ever created. Washington has lost its way in this regard. And this election in 2012, not just here in Florida, but across the country, needs to be an election about what the future is. Are we going to rely on the traditional approach to problem solving that exists in our country, where we allow the right to rise, where we reward success, where we tolerate failure, where we don't try to micromanage everything from Washington, we don't create thousands and thousands of rules that stifle the ability to be successful, or are we all going to get in line? Left-handed Albanians get in this line to get your tax credit. Right-handed Croatians get over here. We're all like separate. We try to get our little piece of the pie all through Washington, D.C. The president, that's his vision, and he honestly believes it. And I give him credit for sincerity of his belief. He believes that the best way to solve problems for the largest number of people is to redistribute wealth, to limit people's aspirations, and then divide it up out of some sense of fairness, as though that is a sustainable idea. If you believe that that's a sustainable idea, then travel to Greece, travel to Italy, travel to Spain, where the burdens of that approach now make it near impossible for them to be able to restore any sense of economic opportunity and prosperity. The American way is a different way. It starts with the idea that it's okay to succeed, that we ought to be celebrating when people are successful, that we ought to hold up high the examples of innovation that create greatness, may create disruption. It's a jagged path to greatness. It's not one step forward incrementally over and over again. It's a jagged path. It has 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But that's the American way. It also, I think, starts with a patriotic energy policy that is based on our own resources and our own innovation, so that we're not reliant on sources of energy from places that either hate us or are unstable and assume will hate us. It seems it is ridiculous It moves then to the idea that you cannot regulate and mandate and create rules around every act of human behavior and try to govern on the margins and not expect to have disastrous results for those that are law-abiding and they're playing by the rules. In fact, I read something today, John, that thankfully was not in Florida, that in the city of Chicago, they've created now a licensing process for the people to get licenses for others. It is so complex in Chicago to get a license, to be able to do whatever you're supposed to do, that there are creatures now created, people that go out and get the licenses for you, but now you have to get a license to become an intermediary to get a license for somebody else. That's not the American way. We need to have less regulation, less rules, and make those outcome-based, based on a 21st century approach rather than just adding on top of rules and rules. The Dodd-Frank law will create 550 separate rulemaking processes. The Obamacare law will create 350 separate processes, the likes of which it will take 5 to 10 years to complete this. The uncertainty is the reason why we're not creating jobs. The burdens on the entrepreneurs is why we're in the mess we're in. And it seems to me that the other element of a successful conservative approach is to bring rules to the 21st century, make them outcome-based and simple, and allow people to pursue their dreams as they see fit. And then finally, I would suggest to you that it's time for us to have a conversation. And here in Northeast Florida, this conversation takes place in churches and synagogues and families all across this region, that it's okay, there is a difference between being honest and not being. To be courageous or being cowardly, or to believe in a higher authority or don't. It's okay to believe in virtue, and that virtue needs to be something that we expect in our candidates for higher office, as well as something that allows us to lessen the demands placed on government. Do you know today in America that something like 40% of all the babies brought into the world today will not have the dad be the father of the mom in the house when that precious child comes home. And we know over a generation of time that the demands placed on government and the burdens on single moms particularly to care for their children are so overwhelming. And then we are surprised that we see the division of income that exists in our communities and in our country. We're surprised to see that children are struggling to be successful in school. We're surprised to see that people don't need food stamps and other means to be able to provide support for their families. It's time for us to have a wholesome conversation about virtue in our society as well, because if we believe in less government, and we believe in entrepreneurial capitalism, and if we believe in success to be rewarded, and the chance to succeed to be at the hallmark of who we also have to lessen the demands placed on government, which means that we need to be a virtuous, self-governing people. That is the way, I think, that conservative candidates here in Florida and around the country need to speak to be successful, because winning is possible without saying all that. You can just say the other guy's bad. We see that a lot, don't we? And it's true, you know. That's not enough. To restore Americans' greatness, we need to lay out a hopeful, optimistic agenda based on American values. And so as we reflect on who we are as a nation during this holiday season, and we look forward, God willing, to a better 2012 than we had for 2011, don't forget that this election coming up at the local and state and federal level ought to be about big ideas, ought to be about transformational things so that we can continue to be the country that we want to be. We can be the greatest country on the face of this earth. I know that when you work for Aaron Bean, he won't let you down. He will be one of those principle-centered elected officials, and he will work hard on your behalf. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you already know him, to Aaron Bean, the next state senator in this area. Aaron.